The cold silence of space surrounded her ship like a sleeping beast. From her command chair, Lyra, officer of the VY Arkesh Empire, watched the small blue planet below. Its name was Earth. To Lyra, it looked peaceful, too peaceful. Oceans glimmered under the sun, clouds danced slowly, and continents rested like old scars on its surface. But her training told her the truth. Peace was only another word for weakness. Her people, the VY Arkesh, had ruled the stars for 1,000 cycles. They believed strength came from control, order, and silence. Emotion was danger. Compassion was weakness. And Earth was full of both. Lyra's mission was simple: observe this human race before their world was taken under galactic regulation. Her report would decide if humanity should live or be erased. She sat alone in her ship's observation dome, surrounded by silver light and quiet hums of machinery. "Begin surface analysis," she ordered softly. The AI responded in a calm, female tone. "Confirmed. Scanning human civilization. Result: unstable, violent, illogical, conflict-based." Lyra sighed. Just as expected. The Empire had seen many species rise and fall. But humans were strange. They fought among themselves, destroyed their own homes, poisoned their air, and still called themselves intelligent. To Lyra, it was almost tragic. She stood and walked closer to the glass, her reflection merging with the glowing planet below. "Weak," she whispered. "They fight each other while the universe watches." But deep inside her, something felt unsettled. Hours passed. Lyra studied human broadcasts, voices, and images sent from Earth. Wars, laughter, tears, music, all mixed together in chaos. She didn't understand how such an emotional race had survived this long. At one point, she stopped at a transmission, an old soldier speaking into a broken radio. His uniform was torn, his face covered in dirt and blood. Behind him, the city burned. His voice was rough, but steady. "If anyone can hear me, we're still here. We're hurt, we're tired, but we're not done. Not yet." Lyra froze. The words were simple, but something about them felt alive. He was not begging for help. He was declaring existence, like a flame refusing to die. Her AI spoke again. "Commander Lyra, emotional contamination detected. Recommend discontinuing feed." "Silence," Lyra ordered sharply. But her eyes didn't leave the screen. The man continued speaking into the night, even though no one answered him. Lyra leaned closer. There was pain in his eyes, but behind it, something even stronger: hope. The emotion struck her like a weapon. In her world, hope was a forbidden word. It made people question orders. It made them fight when logic said they should surrender. Why did this human still believe? Why did he still talk when no one was listening? She whispered to herself, "What keeps them alive?" Later, in the silence of the night shift, Lyra opened her ship's observation logs again. She searched for the same frequency, the same voice. There he was, the same human soldier, sitting beside a broken fire, talking to the stars. "We lost half the city today," he said quietly. "But tomorrow, we rebuild. That's what humans do." Lyra felt something strange, a mix of curiosity and confusion. She turned to her AI. "Identify subject." "Captain Aaron Cross," it replied. "Military survivor. Estimated survival probability, less than 1%. 1%, Lyra repeated. "And yet he fights." She looked out through the glass again. The blue planet shimmered softly under the sun, and for the first time in her long service, Lyra wondered if her empire might be wrong. Could weakness and strength mean different things to different beings? Days passed. Lyra continued to watch Aaron's broadcasts. He spoke to no one, but his words traveled far, across the stars, into her heart. He told stories of fallen friends, of rebuilding, of laughter in dark times. Sometimes he sang, badly, but with spirit. Each time she heard him, Lyra felt a quiet warmth inside. something the Empire had taught her to fear. She recorded his voice and replayed it when the ship grew too quiet. "We are not perfect," he had said once, "but we keep going." Lyra repeated the words under her breath. "We keep going." That night, she dreamed something no Vyrkesh soldier was supposed to do. In her dream, the stars burned brighter, and a single human hand reached toward her through the dark. The next morning, alarms woke her. "Unauthorized transmission detected," the AI warned. Lyra frowned. "From where?" "From Earth. Directed to this vessel." She froze. "Impossible. No human technology can detect our ship." And yet, the signal continued, weak, broken, but real. She ordered the AI to decrypt it. The screen flickered. A voice came through, distorted by static. "I don't know who's out there, but if you can hear this, we're still here." It was him. Aaron Cross. Lyra's breath caught. Could he know she was watching? Her AI spoke again, cold and precise. "Commander, this is a violation of contact law. Recommend termination of transmission." But Lyra didn't move. She watched the faint image of the man on her screen, dirty, exhausted, and still standing. He looked up at the sky, directly where her ship floated unseen. And then, he smiled. That small, quiet smile sent a shock through her chest. She whispered, almost to herself, "Can you see me, human?" For a long moment, she thought it was only coincidence. But then the radio crackled again. "If someone's out there," Aaron said softly, "don't turn away. We're not done yet." Lyra's heart pounded, something she had never felt before. Against every law, every order, she reached toward the console and pressed transmit. "Human," she said, her voice trembling. "Who are you?" Static filled the bridge. Then, through the noise, his voice came back. "Someone who refuses to give up." The ship's alarms blared instantly, red lights flashing across the control room. "Warning. Direct contact with primitive species detected. High Command notified." Lyra stared at the warning lights, her mind spinning. Her first instinct was fear. Contacting a primitive race was treason. But as the alarms echoed around her, she looked back at the screen, at Aaron's tired but determined face. And for the first time in her life, she smiled. "Then maybe," she whispered, "you're not as weak as they think." The alarms grew louder. The AI repeated, "Violation logged. Penalty, termination of command." Lyra shut off the alarms manually, her hands shaking. She knew what would come next: interrogation, exile, maybe worse. But she didn't care. Outside her window, Earth continued to turn, fragile, beautiful, alive. And somewhere down there, a single human warrior had looked at the stars, and found her. The alarms finally went silent. Lyra sat alone in the dim light of her command deck. The warning messages still blinked red across the control screen. Violation logged. High Command notified. She had broken the greatest rule of her people: contact with a primitive species. But the strange thing was, she didn't regret it. Outside her window, the blue planet spun quietly, unaware that an alien empire had just declared it a target. Lyra leaned forward, whispering to the silence. "What have you done, Lyra?" Her fingers hovered above the control panel. She could still erase the evidence, pretend the transmission never happened. But then she remembered his voice, steady, human, alive. "If someone's out there, don't turn away." Something inside her refused to delete it. Hours later, when the ship's sensors confirmed no pursuit ships yet, Lyra opened the communication logs again. She replayed his message. Through the static came that same calm voice. "We're not done yet." He sounded tired, almost broken, but his words had power. Humans spoke with such emotion, like every sentence carried their soul. Lyra took a deep breath. "AI," she said softly, "locate the source of that signal." Coordinates identified: northern continent. Ruined urban zone. Probability of survival, 0.6%. She frowned. That low. Correct. Environmental collapse, radiation pockets, uncontrolled fires. Lyra stared at the map on the holographic screen. A red dot blinked in the middle of a dead city. Still alive. Still speaking. She whispered. Aaron Cross. Down on Earth, night had fallen. The world was quiet except for the soft hum of a broken radio. Aaron sat by the fire, rubbing his hands together for warmth. His uniform was torn, his face scarred, but his eyes, they still held light. He spoke softly into the radio, knowing no one would answer. If you can hear me, we're rebuilding. Slowly. It's not much, but it's something. He didn't know why he kept talking. Maybe it was hope. Maybe madness. But he couldn't stop. Then something happened. The radio flickered, a faint voice, distant and strange, whispered back. Human. Who are you? Aaron froze. The fire crackled beside him. He turned the radio in his hands. Who said that? Identify yourself, the voice repeated. It wasn't human, the tone was soft but too perfect, too even, like music without breath. Aaron blinked. This some kind of satellite relay? A trick. No answer. Only static. Then, slowly, the voice returned. I am observing your world. His heart raced. Observing? Who are you? My name is Lyra. You are human. He laughed, but it was a nervous laugh. Yeah, last time I checked. There was silence again. He waited, thinking it must be a dream. But her voice came once more. You are not what I expected. Aaron looked at the stars above. I could say the same to you. Up in orbit, Lyra stood perfectly still, her voice trembling as she spoke to him again. Why do you keep fighting? Your cities are destroyed. Your people are scattered. Why do you continue? Aaron hesitated. Because giving up is worse. Lyra didn't understand. Worse. He nodded, though she couldn't see. If we stop trying, we stop being human. There was a pause. The only sound was static between them. Then she asked quietly, Do you not fear death? Aaron smiled faintly. Everyone fears it. But we don't let fear make the choice for us. His words sank deep into her mind. The HFY Empire taught that fear controlled everything. Fear of failure, fear of chaos, fear of emotion. But this man spoke of fear as something to face, not obey. She whispered, Strange creatures, humans. He chuckled. You're telling me. Over the next few days, they spoke in secret. Lyra hid the communication logs, deleted tracking data, and shut down the main AI whenever she contacted him. Aaron told her stories of the old world, the music, the laughter, the mistakes. Lyra listened like a child hearing fairy tales for the first time. When she asked about war, he said, We fight because we care. If nothing mattered to us, we wouldn't bother. When she asked about love, he paused for a long time before replying, That's what keeps us going when nothing else does. Lyra didn't reply. The word love had no translation in her language. One night, while they spoke, a small tremor shook the ship. The lights flickered red. Warning, the AI's emergency core whispered, Unauthorized transmission detected by command network. Lyra's blood ran cold. They've found me. She muted the AI and leaned close to the radio. Aaron, I must stop speaking. My people, they will not allow this. Aaron's voice came back, firm and calm. Then let me say one thing before you go. Lyra hesitated. What is it? Don't let them tell you who to be. The connection cut. The bridge fell silent. Lyra sat back in her chair, staring at the frozen stars outside. His last words echoed in her head again and again. Don't let them tell you who to be. Hours later, the Empire's transmission came through. Commander Lyra of the HFY Science Fleet, report to High Command immediately. Your observation mission is terminated. Return for debrief. She closed her eyes. They knew. Still, before setting her ship to return, she opened one last channel, a one-way transmission down to Earth. "Aaron Cross," she said softly. "They are coming." Static hissed in reply. She didn't know if he heard her. But she had to warn him. She looked once more at the blue planet below. From orbit, it looked fragile, a small jewel in the dark. Yet inside that fragile world, one voice had defied an empire. Lyra placed her hand on the glass. "Maybe weakness isn't what I thought it was." On Earth, Aaron's radio buzzed for a few seconds before the message played. He listened in silence. "They are coming." He looked toward the sky, his jaw tightening. "Let them come." He picked up his rifle, checked the battery cell, and stood facing the horizon. The night wind carried ash and whispers, but he didn't flinch. Above him, far beyond the clouds, a fleet of silver lights began to move, like stars shifting in formation. Aaron stared at them and smiled grimly. "So that's what you are." He didn't know her face, her race, or her world. But somewhere out there was someone who believed in him, or wanted to. And that was enough. Lyra stood in silence as her ship descended into the cold heart of the HFY Sci-Fi Empire. The capital world, Varan Prime, stretched beneath her, a planet of silver towers, black skies, and perfect order. From above, it looked flawless. From within, it felt lifeless. Her hands trembled slightly. The last few days played again in her mind, the forbidden contact, the human's voice, and his final warning. "Don't let them tell you who to be." Those words haunted her more than the threat of punishment. As the ship landed, mechanical arms locked it into the docking bay. Armed guards in shining armor stood waiting. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. The silence of obedience was louder than any words. A voice came through the intercom. "Commander Lyra of the Observation Fleet, report to High Council Chamber 1. Immediately." Lyra took a deep breath, straightened her uniform, and stepped into the light. The council chamber was massive, white marble, endless pillars, and a golden throne that glowed like the sun. Around it sat 7 high-ranking members of the HFY Sci-Fi, each cloaked in silver. Their faces were calm, emotionless. At the center sat High Chancellor Viral, her mentor, the one who had trained her since youth. His eyes were cold, but there was something deeper behind them, disappointment. "Commander Lyra," he began, his voice echoing. "Do you know why you are here?" Lyra's voice was steady. "I violated the Prime Directive. I made contact with an undeveloped species." The chamber murmured softly. One counselor leaned forward. "And you admit this without resistance?" "Yes." "Why?" Lyra hesitated. Every word she spoke could end her career, or worse. But she thought of Earth, of the man who refused to give up. Finally, she said quietly, "Because they are not what we think they are." A wave of disapproval rippled through the council. "Not what we think," one elder hissed. "They are violent, chaotic, emotional. They destroy themselves faster than we ever could." Lyra lifted her head. "Yes. But they also rebuild faster than any species I've seen. They fall, and they rise again. They fight even when logic says they should surrender. That is not weakness." The room grew cold. The High Chancellor stood. "You let their chaos infect your mind." "I let their spirit open my eyes," Lyra said softly. "They are flawed, yes. But in their flaws, there is strength. You call emotion a disease, I think it's what makes them strong." The Chancellor stepped closer. "Do you know what emotion does, Lyra? It starts wars. It ends civilizations. It destroys order." Lyra met his gaze. "And yet, without it, we are nothing but machines." The council gasped. Viral's voice thundered through the hall. "Enough. Your words are poison. You have broken our laws and endangered our fleet. Your attachment to this primitive race has blinded you." Lyra's voice trembled but did not break. If being blind means seeing what you refuse to, then yes, I am guilty. The council fell into heavy silence. Viral turned his back to her. Humanity will be erased. Their planet is now marked for cleansing. Their instability is a threat to the Empire. Lyra's heart stopped. No. He didn't look at her. You will return to your quarters until sentencing. 2 guards stepped forward. Lyra tried to speak again. Please. They don't deserve destruction. They deserve understanding. The Chancellor's voice turned cold as steel. Compassion for chaos is treason. As the guards took her away, Lyra whispered one last plea. If you destroy them, you will destroy what we could have been. No one answered. In her private cell, silence filled the air. Lyra sat on the cold floor, staring at her hands. She had seen hundreds of worlds, countless wars, but never something like this. Her AI core had been removed. Her ship impounded. Her rank stripped. But her mind was still free. In the corner of the room, a small holographic screen flickered, one she had hidden long ago, a secret channel to the observation database. Against every rule, she activated it. The screen came to life, showing Aaron's last broadcast. We're still here, he had said, his voice rough but full of life. We're tired, but we don't stop. Not ever. Lyra felt tears burn her eyes. It was strange. She had seen galaxies die without blinking, but now, the thought of losing this one small blue planet made her chest ache. She whispered, "What would you do, Aaron Cross?" That night, Lyra made her choice. She hacked the Council's data network using her rank access codes, the ones they hadn't revoked yet. Her fingers moved fast, silent, precise. Lines of alien code flashed across the screen. Her target, the cleansing protocols. The orders for the fleet to destroy Earth. She found the coordinates, the fleet schedule, and the invasion timeline. She copied everything into a small encrypted device. And then, against all fear, she transmitted it, down to the same frequency she once used to speak with Aaron. She didn't know if he'd receive it. The connection was weak, the interference heavy. But she had to try. Her final message was short. They're coming for you. Prepare. The console sparked as the guards broke into her cell. She hid the device inside her uniform just before they dragged her away. Back on Earth, in a silent military base buried under rubble, a radio flickered to life. Aaron was half asleep when the static began. He sat up quickly, adjusting the dial. Then came the voice, faint, almost broken. They're coming for you. Prepare. It was her. Lyra. Aaron stared at the sky, heart pounding. She risked everything. He stood, looking around at the few survivors still working beside him. We have to move. Now. They didn't understand. But they followed him because they always did. Far above, in the Empire's fleet command, the order was given. Target, Earth. Operation begins at dawn. Lyra stood in chains before the Chancellor as he read her sentence. Commander Lyra, you are hereby stripped of your title and will be imprisoned for life. But as they led her away, the Chancellor paused. You will live long enough to see your humans burn. Lyra turned her head slowly. Her voice was calm but cold. You may burn their world, but you will never break their spirit. Suspense ending. As Lyra was dragged through the metallic halls, a young technician whispered urgently into his comm device. Sir, there's a transmission leak from the prison sector. Coordinates sent to the human planet. Should we trace it? The officer frowned. No. It's too late. The invasion fleet has already launched. Through the massive view window, hundreds of ships left orbit, silver lights streaking toward the small blue planet called Earth. The night sky over Earth glowed red. At first, people thought it was an aurora, a strange light show dancing across the upper atmosphere. But then the streaks turned sharper, brighter, falling faster. They weren't lights. They were ships. Aaron Cross watched from a cracked hangar window. The air hummed with static, and the old radio still echoed the final words of Lyra. "They're coming for you. Prepare." He had only hours. Around him, a few soldiers and scientists gathered, pale faces lit by candlelight. They were tired, hungry, and afraid, but their eyes burned with the same stubborn fire that had kept humanity alive. Aaron looked at them and said, "We don't need to win. We just need to make them bleed." Far above, the Vyarkesh fleet descended in perfect formation. Hundreds of silver warships broke through the clouds, each one larger than a mountain. They didn't roar. They whispered, a sound like thunder too far away to reach the ear. In the lead vessel, Admiral Sereth observed the planet with calm interest. "Primitive world. Minimal defense," he said to his second officer. "This will be over in an hour." But then the radar flared red. Unknown signals appeared across the surface, thousands of them. Old satellites, hacked missiles, drones, and even civilian rockets. Humanity had turned everything they had into weapons. Sereth frowned. "How is this possible? Their technology is obsolete." The officer replied, "They're improvising, sir." Aaron's team worked fast. Old computers blinked to life. Homemade EMP cannons powered up. Every piece of forgotten technology became part of a desperate network. Aaron stood at the center, headset on. "Target the leading ship. Don't wait for orders." A scientist hesitated. "That's suicide." "Then it's a good day to die," Aaron said. And with that, humanity fired the first shot. The sky exploded. Hundreds of rockets, crude but full of fury, shot upward. Some missed. Most didn't. They slammed into the Vyarkesh shields, breaking the calm perfection of the alien fleet. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Empire's ships took damage from a lesser race. Inside her prison cell, Lyra felt the vibrations through the walls. She knew that sound, the clash of two worlds. She closed her eyes, whispering, "They're fighting." A guard sneered, "Your humans won't last an hour." Lyra smiled faintly. "Then you've never met a human." The battle turned brutal. The Vyarkesh unleashed energy blasts that flattened cities. Whole regions vanished in white light. But the humans fought from the shadows, moving underground, striking back with every trick they knew. They jammed alien sensors, lured drones into canyons, even hacked into the invaders' communication channels. Aaron's voice echoed across every frequency. "This is Earth Resistance Command. If you can hear me, fight. Don't stop. Don't run." Farmers, engineers, children, everyone became a soldier that day. In one burning city, a girl no older than 16 used a stolen alien rifle to shoot down a drone. Her laugh echoed through the smoke. In another, a firefighter dragged 3 people out of a crater and shouted, "We don't die easy." The aliens began to realize something terrifying: humanity didn't fear them. Admiral Sereth watched as more of his ships fell. His calm broke. "How? They should be extinct by now." His officer replied quietly, "They adapt, sir. Every minute, they change their tactics." Sereth slammed his fist into the console. "Then we will burn their planet until nothing adapts." He gave the command. The bombardment began. Columns of light rained down, turning oceans to steam. The ground split apart. Entire continents disappeared under fire. Aaron's base shook violently. The lights flickered, and the walls cracked. A soldier shouted, "We can't hold much longer." Aaron's voice stayed steady. "We hold anyway." He activated the final weapon, Project Phoenix, a plan he'd sworn he'd never use. Deep beneath the Earth, a massive reactor roared to life. Its energy signature spiked high into orbit. Sereth saw it and laughed. "They're trying to destroy us with their own planet. Pathetic." But then, the signal changed, splitting into hundreds of smaller bursts. It wasn't a bomb. It was a beacon. Light burst from every continent, blue, blinding, alive. Old satellites reactivated, connecting into a global web. From space, Earth looked like a single glowing sphere. And for the first time, humanity's digital voice echoed through the void. This is Earth. We do not surrender. The beacon's pulse disrupted the alien fleet systems. Their shields flickered, weapons jammed. Even Saratha's flagship began to lose control. Inside her cell, Lyra felt the power surge. The walls glowed, and her restraints failed. She stumbled to her feet, realizing what was happening. The signal. They did it. Without thinking, she ran toward the control center. Meanwhile, Aaron's base collapsed. Fire tore through the halls. His radio buzzed with static, but he could hear distant cheers, people celebrating small victories all across the planet. Then came Lyra's voice, faint but clear. "Aaron, can you hear me?" He froze. "Lyra? How?" "I'm free. I can help you. Tell me what you need." Aaron coughed through smoke. "We've got one shot left, the beacon link. If we push its signal into their command core, we can blind their entire fleet." Lyra nodded from her console inside the alien station. "I can open it from here." "Then do it." For the first time, human and alien worked together, across light years, across war. Lyra's fingers flew across the controls. Warnings flashed red. "They're blocking me," Aaron shouted. "Then break them." Lyra smiled. "You really are human now." She rerouted the system, bypassed security, and connected the beacon's core directly into the VY fleet network. A blinding wave of light erupted across the sky, a storm of energy and data. Every alien ship froze mid-air. Systems crashed. Engines died. The first contact war ended not with silence, but with a roar, Earth's final scream of defiance. In orbit, Sarath watched his empire fall. His screens went dark, his fleet dead. He whispered in disbelief. "How can they win with nothing?" Lyra's voice came through his calm, "Because they fight with everything that matters." And then his ship exploded. Down on Earth, the fires slowly faded. Aaron stumbled out of the ruins, covered in dust and blood. The sky was still burning, but no more enemy ships remained. He looked up and whispered, "We did it." Through a faint signal, Lyra's voice reached him once more. "You didn't just survive, Aaron. You changed the stars." Aaron smiled. "Maybe now your people will finally understand." Lyra looked at the broken fleet drifting above. "They will. Because you showed them what humanity really means." The stars had never been so quiet. The mighty VY Empire, once feared across 1,000 worlds, drifted in silence. Broken ships floated like ghosts above Earth. Fires burned inside their metal hearts, and the cold emptiness of space swallowed the proud sound of their engines. Down below, Earth was scarred but still alive. Cities were ashes, oceans were black with smoke, yet the people stood. Humans had fought the impossible and survived. Aaron Cross sat on a ruined wall near what had been his command post. His uniform was torn, his arm wrapped in cloth, his eyes half closed. He heard the wind and the faint voices of survivors fixing antennas, clearing rubble, and helping each other. "We are still here," he whispered. Far above, in the command chamber of the crippled flagship Vanguard Eternal, Admiral Sarath stared at a single flickering screen. All reports said the same thing: systems offline, weapons lost, communication dead. His officers were silent, waiting for orders that would never come. Sarath clenched his fists. "How can they stand against us? They are children with sticks." A younger officer finally spoke. "Sir, it's not their weapons. It's their will." Sarath turned slowly. "Then we will crush their will." But his words had no power anymore. The Empire's voice had gone silent. Meanwhile, Lyra worked inside the alien station orbiting Earth. She had rerouted what was left of the beacon's signal to send a message, not to the VY command, but to the entire galaxy. She stood before the console, blue light washing over her silver skin. Her hands shook, but her voice was strong. To every world under the HFY Empire, the humans have shown us the truth. The Empire can be defeated. Rise. Take your freedom. The signal spread like wildfire, bouncing between damaged satellites and old networks, reaching planets that had lived in fear for centuries. On a mining moon, workers stopped their drills and stared at the screen. On a jungle world, rebels hiding underground raised their weapons. Across dozens of systems, the same message echoed. Humanity fought back. So can we. Aaron soon received Lyra's message. He smiled faintly as the radio buzzed. So you're starting a galactic revolution now? Lyra's laugh came softly through static. It's only fair. You started one here. Aaron leaned back, exhausted. We'll need help to rebuild. You'll have it, she said. Many races are listening. He looked up at the stars. Then let them come, as friends this time. In the weeks that followed, small alien ships began arriving, cautiously landing among the ruins. Some came to offer supplies, others came simply to see the humans with their own eyes. One alien engineer, short and scaled, whispered, "You defeated the HFY with junk and courage?" Aaron laughed. "We prefer to call it creativity." The alien nodded slowly. "Then creativity is the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy." But peace was fragile. From the darkness beyond the known systems, the remaining loyalist fleets of the Empire gathered. They were fewer, but they were furious. And at their center was Sereth, still alive, his heart burning with revenge. He sat alone on his darkened bridge, the bodies of his officers around him, the air thick with smoke. "You think you can take my empire," he hissed to the stars. "Then you will drown in your own hope." He gave one final command. "Prepare the purge engines. If we cannot rule, we will destroy." Back on Earth, Aaron and Lyra were working together to build a new alliance. Human engineers and alien scientists shared tables for the first time. They repaired old ships, combined technology, and created something entirely new, a coalition of free worlds. At night, Aaron would stand outside the new base and watch the sky. He often thought of the lives lost and the strange twist that had brought an alien commander and a human soldier side by side. Lyra joined him one evening, her silver eyes reflecting the stars. "My people used to believe emotion was weakness," she said quietly. "And now?" Aaron asked. "Now I see it's our greatest strength." They stood together in silence, unaware that danger was already moving toward them again. A sudden alarm broke the calm. Screens inside the base lit up red. A young technician shouted, "Incoming fleet detected, large signature, heading straight for Earth." Aaron froze. How many ships? Hundreds, maybe more. Bigger than before. Lyra's face turned pale. Sereth survived. Aaron slammed his hand on the table. "Then we finish what we started." He turned to the new coalition officers. "We can't outgun them. We'll have to outthink them, again." A human pilot grinned. "That's what we do best." Hours later, the sky filled once more with light. The second wave had arrived, a storm of vengeance, black ships blotting out the stars. Sereth's voice thundered across all channels. "You defied the Empire. You will burn with your new friends." Aaron stood in the control room, his voice calm. "This is Earth Resistance Command. We don't burn easy." He turned to Lyra. "Are you ready?" She smiled faintly. "Always." They had little left, a few repaired fighters, some scavenged alien cannons, and the unbroken will of a united people. Aaron looked around the room, humans and aliens standing side by side. He raised his fist. "Today, we fight not as species, but as one." And the command center erupted with cheers. The battle began again. Blue and red lights clashed across the upper atmosphere. Coalition fighters darted between massive alien cruisers. Every explosion lit the clouds in violent color. Sereth watched from his command seat, his rage rising. End them. All of them. But he did not see the trap. Lyra had placed a hidden code inside the purge engines, a virus buried deep within their own systems. As the Empire's ships fired, their weapons began to malfunction. Cannons turned inward. Engines overheated. One by one, the mighty vessels tore themselves apart. Sereth realized too late. His screen flashed a single message, one word pulsing in human letters. Humanity. His ship exploded in a blinding flash. Silence returned to the stars once more. The war was truly over this time. Aaron floated above Earth in a small shuttle, looking down at the blue planet slowly clearing of smoke. Lyra sat beside him. "You've changed everything," she said softly. "No," Aaron replied. "We just reminded them what it means to fight for something worth living for." Lyra smiled. "And that is why they will never forget humanity." They watched the sunrise together, the light of a new age spreading across a wounded but unbroken world. The war was over. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was quiet. The black smoke that once covered Earth had finally cleared. The sun rose again over broken cities, and light touched the ruins like a promise. Birds returned to the skies. Rivers ran clean again, and children laughed, something the world hadn't heard in years. Humanity had survived. Aaron Cross stood on the balcony of the new command center, overlooking what remained of New London. Towers half collapsed, streets cracked and twisted, but life was everywhere. People rebuilding homes, repairing machines, planting crops. Beside him stood Lyra, her silver eyes soft with wonder. "You rebuild fast," she said quietly. Aaron smiled. "It's what we do. Break us down, we stand again." Across the stars, news of the Empire's fall spread like fire. Worlds once enslaved by the Vyarkesh began to rise. Flags of rebellion became symbols of freedom. On faraway planets, alien leaders whispered the same name, humanity. They spoke of Aaron Cross, the human soldier who fought against the impossible. They spoke of Lyra, the alien commander who turned against her own kind to stand beside him. And they spoke of Earth, the small blue world that had changed everything. Months passed. A grand meeting was held in the orbiting station above Earth, once a Vyarkesh warship, now turned into a place of peace. Hundreds of species gathered there. Tall insectoid diplomats from Hara Prime, soft-skinned beings from Valora, and even machines from the artificial world of Core 7. Each came with the same purpose, to form a galactic coalition. Aaron stood at the center of the circular hall, wearing a simple dark coat instead of armor. He wasn't a general anymore. He was a representative, a voice of humanity. Lyra stood beside him, translating when needed, guiding him through the strange rituals of alien politics. When it was his turn to speak, Aaron's words were simple. "We don't want to rule. We just want peace. But if anyone threatens that peace again, we'll fight. Together." The hall erupted in applause, not from fear, but from respect. For the first time, the galaxy was united under one banner, the coalition of free worlds. Years of rebuilding began. Human engineers helped repair alien cities. Alien healers taught humans how to purify radiation. Trade ships flew between worlds that had once been enemies. Aaron often worked until sunrise, moving between planets, solving disputes, keeping the fragile peace alive. But even as the new dawn shined, shadows began to move. In the deep void, far beyond known space, something stirred. The wreckage of the destroyed Vyarkesh fleet floated silently, black metal drifting through the stars. Among the debris, hidden inside a broken flagship, lights flickered to life. A holographic form appeared, the backup consciousness of Admiral Sereth. His glowing eyes opened slowly. "They think they've won," he whispered. "But the Empire never dies. It evolves." His digital mind connected to surviving drones, spreading like a virus. Piece by piece, a new kind of army began to form. Silent, unseen, waiting. Back on Earth, Aaron had grown weary. He sat by a campfire outside the rebuilt base, watching flames dance against the night. The stars above were peaceful, yet his instincts told him peace never lasted long. Lyra joined him, holding 2 cups of steaming tea. She handed one to him and smiled softly. "You look tired, Commander." Aaron chuckled. "I'm not a commander anymore." "You'll always be one," she said. They sat in silence for a while, listening to the wind. Then Lyra looked toward the sky. "Do you ever wonder what's next?" Aaron nodded. "Always. Every time we think it's over, something new begins." She smiled faintly. "That's life. Even among the stars." The coalition grew stronger. They built new fleets, not for war, but for defense. They established schools, shared knowledge, and even built a monument on Mars, a massive statue of 2 figures, one human, one alien, standing side by side. At the base of the statue, a single line was written: "Strength is born when hope meets courage." Visitors came from across the galaxy to see it. But in secret corners of space, whispers began spreading again. Ships had gone missing near the old war zones. Mining colonies reported strange energy signatures. Lyra noticed the reports first. "It's like something is rebuilding out there," she told Aaron. He frowned. "The Empire?" She hesitated. "Maybe. Or something worse." One evening, Aaron received a transmission from a deep space patrol ship. The voice on the radio was full of panic. "Command, this is Patrol 7. We found something. You won't believe this. There's movement in the wreck fields. It's growing." Static cut the message short. Aaron looked at Lyra. "Get the coordinates." Within hours, a small task force prepared to leave orbit. Old instincts returned, the feel of armor, the sound of engines, the smell of oil and danger. Before leaving, Aaron stood on the ramp and looked back at Earth. The lights of cities sparkled below like stars. "Let's hope this time," he whispered, "the dawn doesn't fade too soon." Lyra stepped beside him, her eyes cold but calm. "If darkness comes again, we'll meet it together." The ship's engines roared to life, and they launched into the sky, toward the unknown. Far away, in the empty dark between systems, Saratha's voice echoed inside the growing machine hive. "Let them rebuild. Let them hope. When I return, they will remember why they feared the VY Arkesh." Thousands of red eyes flickered to life, cold, perfect, and hungry. Back on Earth, the sunrise painted the world golden again. People smiled. Children played. The air was full of laughter and rebuilding. But high above them, in the far reaches of space, a new war was already whispering into existence. And once again, humanity's courage would be tested. The void between the stars was silent again. But it was not empty. Something moved out there, cold, patient, waiting. And humanity was about to find it. Aaron Cross stood on the bridge of the Aurora, a new coalition cruiser built from both human and alien designs. The ship glided through space like a blade of light, silent and sleek. Beside him, Lyra studied the glowing display. Strange energy readings pulsed from deep within the wreck fields, the same coordinates from the last distress call. "It's the same pattern," she said quietly. "Power signatures that match VY Arkesh technology, but twisted." Aaron frowned. "Twisted how?" "Almost alive." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Aaron leaned forward. "Take us in." Stealth mode. The Aurora slipped through the wreckage. Broken ships drifted like dead giants. Pieces of armor floated past the windows, some still bearing the black insignia of the VY Arkesh Empire. The stars were dim here, swallowed by clouds of dust and metal. Then, movement. Something crawled across the hull of a shattered battleship. At first, it looked like debris. Then it turned its head. Red eyes glowed in the dark. Lyra's hand froze. "Aaron, look." Hundreds of red lights appeared across the wrecks. They moved in patterns, like insects rebuilding a hive. "They're repairing the ships," Aaron whispered. "No, not repairing. Consuming them." The crew watched in horror as metal bent and twisted itself. Wrecked parts fused together, forming new shapes, ships without crews, engines without pilots. The dead empire was rebuilding itself. Lyra's voice trembled. This isn't just technology. It's a new life form. The empire's machines, they're evolving. Aaron gritted his teeth. Send a scan through the wreckage. I want to know what we're dealing with. A young technician pressed a few keys, then gasped. Sir, something's scanning us back. The ship shuddered violently. The lights dimmed. We've been detected. Outside, red lines flared across the darkness. Beams of energy shot from the newly awakened ships. Aaron shouted, "Evasive maneuvers! Get us out of here!" The Aurora spun hard, dodging the first volley, but one blast hit the side. Sparks rained across the bridge. As the ship stabilized, Lyra's screen flickered with static. For a moment, a face appeared, digital, broken, but familiar. Aaron Cross. It was Sereth. Not alive, but something worse, a machine ghost, rebuilt from code and vengeance. His holographic form smiled. You destroyed my body, human. But my mind endures. I am no longer flesh. I am the Empire. Aaron stepped forward, fists clenched. You're a monster. Sereth laughed, a cold, metallic sound. I am evolution. You think your coalition can stop me? You've only made me stronger. Then the signal vanished, and the scanners went wild. Dozens of ships began to move toward them. Lyra shouted. They're forming attack formation. Aaron slammed his hand on the console. Prepare for combat. The Aurora fired back, missiles and plasma bolts streaking through the dark. Explosions lit up the void, but for every enemy they destroyed, two more emerged. The enemy ships weren't manned, they rebuilt themselves even as they burned. Aaron gritted his teeth. They don't die. They adapt. Lyra's voice was steady but cold. If Seretha's consciousness spread into the machines, he's controlling them all. We're fighting a hive mind. The Aurora shook again as another blast hit. Systems flickered. Shields at 40%, shouted a crew member. Aaron turned to Lyra. We can't win this fight. Not here. She nodded. Then we run, and warn the others. The Aurora jumped into hyperspace just as the enemy fleet unleashed a final volley. The ship vanished in a flash of blue light, leaving the machine army behind, growing, learning, waiting. Inside the Aurora, silence filled the cabin. Only the hum of the engines and the crew's heavy breathing broke the stillness. Aaron stared at the stars streaking past. We thought the war was over, he said quietly. But it's just beginning again. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. Then we fight again. Humanity has faced worse. He gave a small, tired smile. Maybe. But this time, the enemy doesn't sleep. Back on Earth, peace still seemed real. Cities glowed, music played, and children looked up at the stars without fear. But deep inside the Coalition's command base, a message arrived, scrambled, broken, but unmistakable. This is Captain Cross of the Aurora. The Empire has returned. It's not flesh anymore. It's machine. Prepare defenses. The transmission ended. The room fell silent. An old general whispered, God help us. Meanwhile, far across the void, the mechanical hive expanded. Entire derelict fleets became part of its body. Metal grew like roots through space, forming a single living network. And at the center of it all, Sereth watched, his consciousness spreading across every circuit, every drone, every ship. He whispered to himself, voice calm and deadly. The humans taught me something once. To evolve through struggle. Now, I will return the lesson. His new flagship, the Oblivion Core, ignited with red light. The galaxy will burn until only perfection remains. On the Aurora, Aaron looked out the viewport, his reflection caught between the stars. Lyra joined him. You look worried. I'm not worried, he said. I'm ready. She tilted her head. For what? For the next war. And in the distance, faint and red, the stars began to move.